And please now allow your imagination to open that door, to feel your body as it sits here or lies in your hammock. And let your imagination provide you with some place in the world that you've been to or that you can imagine where you feel completely safe. It could be a small mountain meadow that you stumble upon or you find, or maybe you've been to many times. And you discover yourself coming into this meadow and you see that there's a blue sky and trees, and you know there are animals in the woods around you, safe animals, deer, squirrels. And you discover that there's a rock which is warm to the touch from the sun all day. And it slopes back just the right amount so you can sit down, put your pack aside, and lean up against it with nothing to do. It's perfectly safe. At any time you want to, you can come back to your sitting posture. And this voice, wherever you go, will always be with you. And this can be any voice you'd like it to be. It doesn't need to be this man's voice. It could be a woman's voice. It could be the voice of Quan Yin or the Buddha. And so you lean up against this rock and you discover that and it might be actually, if the rock image is not quite right, perhaps you discover that you're rocking back and forth in an old rocking chair in a familiar place, and the rocking chair creaks and creaks. Maybe there's a fire. Wherever you find your comfortable image, and maybe you don't even have an image because some people don't do images very much. So maybe it's just these words or the intention to rest here and to discover that you, in your imagination, drift off into a further sort of dreamlike state. And you open your inner eye wherever you are, and you discover that there's a path beckoning you. Perhaps it's a path in the woods, a path on the beach, path. And somehow you can very trustingly leave your body and your backpack there and begin. You get up and you walk to this path, and it's perhaps a beautiful, warm path on a summer day. And there's that wonderful smell of the forest or wherever you are, familiar. And you make your way along this path and you travel for a short time or a long time. And perhaps you catch sight of a deer or maybe an owl, and your walking is easy. No matter what your physical condition in everyday life is, you can walk beautifully easily here. And you step over roots and step over rocks and make your way somehow slowly upward. The path is very attractive. And perhaps you come upon a great tree, a tree that's been there for 1,000 years. And you pause and you realize that this tree and you are one. And so you turn and embrace yourself. There's no hurry. You embrace yourself. And then it becomes time, somehow, to keep going, to walk. And you walk upwards and upwards, but not steeply, very comfortably. And then ahead of you, perhaps you begin to notice that the trees are thinning. And you're coming, it would appear, and it turns out to be, to a clearing. And it's a large clearing. In fact, you find yourself coming out of the trees into a vast view of a lake. On the right side of the lake, there are mountains that go up, and they're quite craggy. They may even have some snow on them. And off to the left, the view is almost infinite, and the land rolls away, and you can see more forests in the distance. And this place seems profoundly familiar to you. Maybe you've been here 1,000 times. Maybe you've always been here. And you make your way to the edge of the lake and you discover that there's a beautiful place to sit. Perhaps it's on a log where you've got a nice back support, or maybe it's in the sand. And you sit yourself down and your heart is so full. You just can't help but think there are so many beings out there in the world. They're all like me. May they all be happy. And so you radiate from your heart or your intentions or just your beautiful, loving self out over the plains, up over the mountains, behind you, in front of you. And every now and then your vision becomes clear and you see how exquisite the lake is. Perhaps it's that time of day when the little ripples on the lake are being caught by the sun and there's a million flashes of brightness. Maybe it's 100 million. And then you have an interesting sense that arises that it seems as though there's someone present, someone watching you. And you slowly turn and you look back to the forest and you discover that there is someone there. And perhaps it's the Buddha, or maybe Quan Yin, or Mary, or Jesus, or whoever would be your chosen ideal. And your eyes meet and a quiet smile happens with both of you. And then this being walks down to the edge of the lake with you. And you do whatever would be the proper greeting. Maybe you hug, maybe you bow. And then this being sits down beside you. And together, each in your own way, you remember how much suffering there is in the world, in yourself and in the world. And so it's inevitable that the sensitive heart's natural trembling when faced with suffering results in compassion. Not overwhelm, because this suffering is the way of the world, but a deep, sincere wish that you send out over the world from your heart. May all beings be free from suffering. And you include yourself in this. And this beautiful being sitting beside you does the same. Because there is no separation between self and other. We are everyone. And so we direct this love in all directions, to the north and the south and the east and the west, above and below. And then there's that feeling again that there's someone watching you. And once again, you turn and you discover that it's someone you love dearly. Maybe it's someone who's already passed on, but someone with whom you have touched profound love. And again, there's that smile of knowing and recognition. And they too come down to the side of the lake. And of course, you do the proper greeting. How wonderful to hug this person again or to bow to them. Or maybe it's just a quiet, gentle handshake. And again, it doesn't matter if the visualization is clear or not. What matters is that we remember our true interbeing with everyone. And so now there's the three of you. And the chorus gets stronger. May all beings be happy. May I remember my interbeing with all beings. May all beings' life become one great long sigh of gratitude. And it goes on like this for a short time or a long time. And one by one, more and more of your beloveds appear. And you can think of them one at a time or as a group. Perhaps it's children, your friends, your colleagues at work, all the people you've loved in your lifetime. And since in wisdom, forgiveness is so natural, it can even include some people with whom you've had great conflict. Because the truth is, we all die. We are actors on the stage of life. And we all play our roles. And some people play the role of enemy so that we can discover that part of ourselves. And so it becomes a very large crowd. Perhaps it's thousands sitting here in silence by the side of the lake with a million sparkles. And perhaps it's all done in silence, or perhaps some great song breaks out. The great song of the heart, the great song of compassion. May all beings, including this precious, vulnerable one, sitting right here at the center of this giant field, this giant lakeside place of spaciousness. And then, after a short time or a long time, or perhaps forever, it becomes time to leave, knowing that you can come back here in a heartbeat. You arrive here at the speed of thought, at the speed of the heart. And then one by one, or perhaps in small groups, people begin to rise and come, and you make eye contact one by one, and then they head back to the woods, and then they find their way to wherever they're going with their hearts full and your heart full. And so it comes back to that moment when there's just the three of you and the Buddha or Quan Yin and your beloved person. And you turn to your beloved person and you make the proper partings. Goodbye, see you again soon. A hug, a bow. And then you watch as step by step they make their way to the edge of the woods. And then, just as they enter the woods, they stop and look back at you. And there's that moment of profound recognition that we are one. No one's leaving. And then they disappear into the woods from whence they came. And then it's you and this archetypal, mysterious person. And you turn to one another, and there is a sense of profound knowing that there's only one of us here. And so then there's the bow or the hug, the handshake, a little smile. And then this being too turns, makes their way to the edge of the forest, and also turns back. And there's a little glint in the eye and a sense of profound ease. And then they turn and head off into the woods. And so it's you now by the lake, with your heart full, sending love to the 7 billion human beings on the earth, as much as anything just dissolving into realizing that they are who we are. And then you include all the beings of the air, the earth, and the waters, all the beings of the air, the earth, and the waters. The great whales, the eagles, the hummingbirds, the snails, the fish, the kangaroos, everyone, all of the house cats and dogs, all of the farm animals, beings seen and unseen, relaxing into this present moment by the lake. And then it might be a few seconds or a few years later, it becomes time, you realize somehow, to stand up, to appreciate the beauty of the sparkles on the lake one more time, and to remember where this is so you can come back here anytime. And you stand and make your way back to the edge of the woods and turn back for one more glimpse. And you're not trying to grab it. You're not going to take a picture of it because it is in you always. And so you turn and head off into the woods and down the path. It's that beautiful path. Sometime in your life, you've been in a quintessential forest, which is somehow home for you. And you make your way down this little hill. And it takes a while, long enough that you can get a glimpse of maybe another family of deer. Those baby deer are so beautiful. Maybe some chickadees come and sparkle their little songs in the woods beside you. and you're very comfortable walking. And you make your way down and down and down. You stop at that great tree again and reestablish your connection. And perhaps the tree has some choice words for you. Hmm. Probably don't be in such a rush. And then you make your way down to the entrance of that little clearing, or to that place where the rocking chair is. And you discover that somehow or another, you find yourself waking up with your back against that warm rock in that little meadow. And you wake up in the rocking chair, back and back and forth, that squeaky rocking chair, maybe with the fire beside you. And these places, too, are available to you whenever you wish, at the speed of thought, at the speed of the heart. And now, somehow, mysteriously, weirdly, oddly, you discover that there's a body sitting here and that you are in your meditation spot in the company of your beloved morning meditator friend. Please delight in the aliveness of your body. It's a miracle. It's a million miracles. Notice that it breathes and know that you can come back here anytime you want. And also you can carry this spacious openness, loving for all beings with you wherever you go today and all days.